And now let's chat to a friend of Outsiders. She's been on the show many times before. She's, of course, the Queensland Senator, Pauline Hanson. Pauline, welcome back to Outsiders.
Thanks, Rowan. Yeah, good to be with you.
Now, tell us your thoughts on the coronavirus. You've been attacked, as our previous guest, Gideon Rosner, was attacked. You've been attacked for suggesting that perhaps there are different ways we could be tackling this. Give us your thoughts, Pauline.
Well, yes, I think it's going to be a long time before they come up with a vaccination for this, if they ever do. My understanding is this is very similar to the SARS and the other virus that we had in 2013. SARS came in 2003 and the other one was in 2013. That has not been, it was coronavirus as well. They haven't found a vaccine for that. And that's why I think it's going to take a long time before they actually get a vaccine for this. That's why the government's taken this tough stance with it. And with the flu season now coming on, if people are going to pick up the flu virus, plus with the coronavirus, I think it will affect a lot of Australians. I don't agree with what he's doing in shutting down the whole economy. You've got parts of rural and regional Queensland, as the rest of the country, have shut down their small businesses. Now, these communities rely on those businesses, and there's no evidence of any coronavirus in these centres at all, and yet they've shut them down. I think it's wrong because these centres of rural and regional areas are struggling for people to come through to keep the businesses open. I think once they shut down, we're going to make a lot of ghost towns of a lot of our areas in rural and regional Australia. The package that is passing, yes, we have to support the Australian people with an income, but it's affecting so many areas, whether it be family law, you've got small businesses, you've got people who are going to face a lot of depression, you've got to find a lot more hardships, people losing their homes, their businesses. It's going to be absolutely amazing how we're going to come out the other end of this.
Rita.
Well, that notion of hibernating businesses, do you think that's feasible? Is that something that could happen, or are they going to go under in that 6-month, 8-month period and there'll be nothing there to reinvigorate?
That's right. Prior to this, a lot of businesses that I spoke to were actually struggling to keep their heads above water, and whether they wanted to keep going. A lot of them were actually looking at moving overseas because they couldn't afford the cost of electricity, running the businesses, rent, and also the wages, high wages, and yet we kept bringing in the cheap imports into Australia. We'd destroyed our industries and manufacturing over the years. Now, on top of this, people are going to lose their good staff, restarting up again. A lot of them won't even bother. They won't even bother going back into business again. So you've got a lot of the small businesses that employ about 85% of the workforce. We're going to have unemployment for a long period of time that people won't. What the government should be doing, and RM Williams has just closed, for the life of me I don't understand why, all right? If you're going to have these businesses going, these industries and manufacturing, you have people go for a test, a temperature test. So before they can go in, if they got high temperature, you don't allow them in. You can't just shut down the businesses, industries and manufacturing. What would they do if they shut down the mining sites? We wouldn't have the coal to produce the energy that we need. So where is it going to stop? Common sense needs to prevail this. We can't shut down our economy. And as you said, Rowan, the debt we're going to leave for future generations, that's not going to be paid back. This is about socialism. It's about controlling people. And as you said, rounding up a woman in the park because she's sitting on a bench and giving her a fine. People can't meet. I spoke to a Professor Ian Brighthope. He said, and he studied medicine for 40 years, and it's written up in the journals. He said people need to take high doses of vitamin D and high doses of vitamin C, which will help with the coronavirus. The government is not putting that out to people. It's not just about washing your hands. It's about how you look after yourself. People need sunshine. That does help with their immune system.
James.
Pauline, this has also had a huge effect on families. Can you talk a bit about what's happening in the family court situation? I understand that there's been now confusion that's developed out of this, and the coronavirus is being used in some cases as a way to prevent custodial access arrangements being enforced. What's happening with that, and is the government doing anything about that? Do you know?
Well, the government hasn't done anything about it to date, as far as I know. You have the Chief Justice of the Family Law Court, and he's also the Chief Justice for the Family Circuit Court, Chief Justice Alsterdran. He actually put out a memo to people saying you cannot deny the other parent from having custodial rights to see their children by the court orders. He's asking people to actually work together on this. If you can't drop off your kids to a contact centre, then you come to some agreement or arrangement so that children have contact with the other parents. But parents I know are for a fact using this as a reason so they won't have contact with the parent. And of course a lot of parents who have to travel long distances to see their children are having problems with that as well because of the flights. So, and I know one case here, the father wanted to see their child at a contact centre, but the contact centre is denied and said, you can't hug your child. You see your child who's about 3 or 4 years of age, wants to give you a hug, and they say, no, you can't hug your child because of fear of coronavirus. It's been taken to the extreme. These parents are using it as an excuse to stop the other parent from seeing their children. I think it's disgusting. I think you are ill parenting, and those kids have a right and should see that other parent. You should do everything you possibly can. If you're worried about the contact centres being closed, then you make arrangements at a police station, or you go to your council chambers, or you find a government. I'll even do it at my office for changeovers or whatever to help those people, or time for those parents to see their children. Parliamentarians' offices can be used as, for changeovers. I think that we've got to all do what we can to keep contact with those parents with their children.
Pauline, it looks to me like you're in beautiful Townsville there, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes,
I am.
Tell us about gun shop laws as well. You've been talking about that in the last few days.
Rowan, it is what the government has done now is gun shop dealers, or that they don't only sell guns and ammunition and explosives. They're a vital necessity for our national security in holding guns and ammunition. A lot of people who now they're denied people to get access to guns and ammunition, what they need, unless they've got PP on their licence, which is a primary producer. A lot of people who are primary producers didn't get it on their licence, but because it was a lot more difficult, they had to present all their documentation, and they didn't want to do it. And the police said, oh no, all you need to get is an RE. So a lot of them have RE on their licence, recreational, so therefore they can't get the guns or ammunition that they need. Now, on these properties, they have a lot of feral pests. They need to stop them from eating their crops and the damage that they do to their properties. So it's important that a farmer has this. But also these people who actually go out there and rid the farmers of the feral pests, they won't be able to get the guns or the ammunition. The thing is, they reckon there was a run on guns in Australia. That was rubbish, because a lot of the components come out of the US. And of course people thought, oh God, they saw what happened in America, we won't be able to get the components or what we need here in Australia. So there was a slight run on it. But there's no reason for the government to think that there's an increase in domestic violence. People have guns in Australia have to go through a stringent test to get it. If there's any criminal activity, any domestic violence whatsoever, they are denied the right to get a gun. And as I said, gun dealers hold a national register which saves the policing, and it's the biggest one outside the policing. So they actually help in getting criminals, collecting guns. People want to hand in their guns. They are so vital to our security. And if you take the guns off it, these people who are in security themselves and looking after, say, cash transactions or movement of cash, they're not going to be able to get their guns and their ammunition. So the government has has not thought this out properly. And I'd say in the government, keep the dealerships open. They are our best security in this case.
Okay, Rita.
Well, just on that, I understand, there was a bit of a burst in demand, and part of that, the gun dealers say, was because they were going to have a 15% price increase come April 1, so people were trying to get in before that increase came in. But are you not at all concerned that if we do have firearms, or more firearms and ammunition in the community, that with the enormous stress this coronavirus crisis is causing people, the financial strain, that is a dangerous mix? And though those guns were acquired for the right reasons, they may be misused?
Rita, to get a gun, it takes you about 6 weeks to actually get a gun. The test that you have to go through and prove that you are a law-abiding citizen, these people who own their guns in Australia are offended when you think that they're going to go out and commit the crimes. There's no evidence of it, that they're committing crimes. What you're going to do is you're going to take the guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands. You're going to cause a black market, the real criminals and those bikies who will trade in the guns and ammunition. I'm telling you, it will happen. So it's best to leave it in the hands of the dealerships who know, and they won't sell a gun to anyone. You have to go through this very stringent process to get it. We have the toughest gun laws in the world.
James?
So there's no evidence of domestic violence. And also, I'll tell you, if you're going to have domestic violence, a gun has to be kept in a cabinet, locked. You can't have the gun in one piece. It's all in separate pieces. Ammunition has to be kept separately. So you mean to say, they're going to say, all right, I've had enough, I'm going to go down and get it. You know what? They'll lay their hands on a knife or a hammer or whatever if they want to cause domestic violence, rather than going to the cabinet and getting the gun out.
James, just a quick question to Pauline on China and her thoughts on China in the current role.
Sure, Pauline. Tell us, thanks, Rowan, your thoughts on China and our dependence on China going forward. Do we need to become a country that does more for ourselves?
Oh, of course we do, and I've said this for years, James, that we need to actually increase our industries and manufacturing. They always criticise me and said, oh, she wants to go back to the 50s. Well, I tell you what, I've been proven right many times over, and I've been proven right another time, but they're not passing the corporate tax cut last year with over $50 million turnover, because when I saw the budget, we only have a surplus in 2020 of $2.2 billion. I said, we can't afford this corporate tax cuts up $80 billion, especially when we pass the personal tax cuts of $144 billion. So I said, we don't know the state of the economy further down the track. How can we give these tax cuts? So it's proven right. China, you know what, Australia? Become self-sufficient and make our own goods and items in Australia. We don't manufacture footwear, clothing, ball bearings, washing machines, nothing in the country. And we've seen our agricultural land end up in the hands of the Chinese and foreign investors and going straight from paddock to plate. We're absolutely bloody fools. China wants to take over and control the world and their needs and wants. And we have to take this time now to revitalise our industries and manufacturing, become self-sufficient and know that we can stand on our own 2 feet and keep the money here in Australia instead of becoming, in time, to become a third world nation if we keep heading down the track that we are.
Pauline Hanson, so great to talk to you. Looks like you're going to have a great day there in Townsville. Please enjoy it, and thanks for coming on Outsiders today.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks,